While I tried to finish this video, Sony insisted on making it easier to hate The Last of Us 2. When the leaks appeared, I didn't care. I wanted to see the game at release and make a decision if it deserves the money or not. I love Final Fantasy VII and I wanted to see a remake. I also wanted a turn-based system and not the new one, but whatever. I didn't buy the game at launch, and after I saw how the story and game is, I decided to buy it. Right after that, I saw that Square Enix decided it is a fucking good idea to take down videos that have the ending. This is what Atlus did with Persona 5. I hate stuff like this. I never saw too much gameplay or story, just because I wanted a new experience, but when they did that, they made me want to see the endings. The endings were fine, but I was still mad and decided to not buy the deluxe edition and even wait for a discount. So when Naughty Dog did the same thing, I was even angrier because they had a shitty story. After all, they even censored people that never gave any spoilers but talked about The Last of Us Part 2. Stop doing this. If you have a good game, people will buy it. If your game is bad, why do you think censoring people will not make them even madder and draw even more attention, as it already happened? So what's the problem now? Well, if you go to the Last of Us Part 2 game on the PlayStation Store, the game has already 758 5-star ratings. Even if the game is not released, the Last of Us first part has 578 with 4.5 stars ratings. I wanted to see how much Witcher 3 Game of the Year edition has, and it's 40,278. Now I'm confused. Let's find a bad game. FIFA 20 has 3.5 stars out of 5. So I guess it's not always 4.5 and 5 stars, but that still doesn't explain why The Last of Us Part 2, a game that is not released and I didn't find people who have an early copy of it, already has only 5-star reviews and more ratings than the first one. Naughty Dog and Sony try so hard to protect their new game, and that just makes me trust them even less. You made a game that made you lose some of the fans? Fine, take responsibility. Find better people for the job with better ideas, and be better next time or fix what you can. Sony, do you know why I paid for over 2 years for a PlayStation Plus membership? Because I wanted to support you in making more games like The Last of Us Part 1, Days Gone, but without the bugs at launch and so many patches, Horizon Zero Dawn, and so on. You cared about games, you wanted to make more and better exclusives, you had no loot boxes or microtransactions. All the games that I wanted, I got them from your store or physical copies for your console. Do you know why I stopped my subscription and stopped buying games for the PlayStation 4? Because you started to censor games, while Nintendo, the company known for making especially family games, is not pro-censorship. I buy games that already have a rating of 60 plus or even 80 plus, so I don't need Sony to come and censor the games even more. I'm over 18. I know how a pussy and tits look like in real life. I don't play games to see big tits or sexy stuff. But if the creator of the game wants it, then let him put as many titties as he wants. I see more and more politically correct stuff, and fuck that. I don't pay for companies to censorship creativity and feed me their agenda. I pay for entertainment. I want entertainment, not feminist propaganda and censorship. Many people died for us to have the freedom to say and do what we want, but somehow now we are okay to give up everything just because a poor little spoiled brat on the internet is offended. Sony, your rating system sucks. We don't know if people play the game or how much. We don't know if you only accept ratings that have over 4 stars. We don't know if consumers are rating the game or you just add them. We don't even have comments that say why they love the game or not. Sony, your censorship sucks, and that's why I stopped paying for your subscription or buying games for your console. Change what you are doing. Care more about the consumers that made you what you are, and not some PC babies. Well, this was longer than I expected. When I saw this last year, I said, fuck it, I will not buy any more stuff from Sony until they stop censoring stuff and force politically correct crap on everybody. What I want to talk about in this video is why Cyberpunk is and always will be a better game than any future Naughty Dog game can be. I understand that some people still have no idea why, if in Cyberpunk 2077 you can have whatever gender, non-gender or race you want, is pretty damn cool, and why Naughty Dog's diversity will never be okay. I saw on Twitter people saying Cyberpunk 2077 has all kinds of genders you want, why don't you hate the game? And I know what most of you are saying, why do you care what people are saying on Twitter? I don't, but I still think this question needs to be answered. From what I saw, Cyberpunk 2077 wants to make a story, a video game. They don't try to push any agenda and blame your sexuality or race. Meanwhile, The Last of Us Part 2 overpaid a feminist that doesn't care about games but wants free money. Why would you pay somebody that has no idea what gaming, design or programming is? You may say you want her to help with social issues like diversity or race. Well, she is a white woman from one of the best countries in the world. I'm pretty sure she has no idea what real oppressed people feel like, how it is to work hard and still don't have enough money to pay rent or your bills, or how it is to be discriminated just because you are born in a bad country. You probably pay her more than all your testers working on the project, but you will fire them if they give their feedback. Because of her decisions, even if you sell a lot of copies of the game, you will still lose 10% or more. You don't care what's 10% for you. The salary of testers over the 2 or 3 years? That's nothing for you. You don't care. This is the difference between Cyberpunk 2077 and The Last of Us Part 2. Cyberpunk 2077 wants to have the best people, the best story, the best gameplay, and also have whatever race or genitals you want, because the story is made to have all of that. Anime and Japanese games have boys that dress like girls, girls that kick ass and are overpowered, drag queens, but I don't care, because that's their style. That's what they want to create. They don't do it out of guilt, or because a feminist told them to. One day the writer thought it was a good idea and that's all. So I hate what The Last of Us Part 2 did, because, like Uncharted 4, the story wasn't made to be that way. You just change it to make some people happy, even if the people you try to make happy will not buy your game, and the ones that buy it for your diversity is 1%. Most of your fans don't read or care about gaming news, so no matter what you do, they will be disappointed after playing the game and will probably not buy the next one. Over 40% probably are the ones that buy the games no matter what, because the fear of missing out. What I'm trying to say is that if you have a famous AAA game, even if the sequel is bad, you will still sell more than you deserve. The Last of Us 2 is not out yet, So I don't want to talk about what exactly is the stuff that I don't like, but overall the story is not made to entertain in any ways. It's just made to contain some social issues that you see in real life, issues that are forced in a game about post-apocalyptic scenario. I will make a video after the game is released to say what is bad about the story, but now let's talk about why a woman that can win in a fight versus more men is okay, but not if it's a Naughty Dog game. The Witcher 3 has magic, and because of that even a little girl can destroy a monster. Cyberpunk 2077 is full of technology upgrades that can make you more powerful than you can be in real life, so the power that the character has in the game is not as easy to explain as you do in a real life game like Uncharted. Now let's talk about Uncharted 4, where people don't have magic, special powers, upgrades. It's just normal people with special training. So when you put a man or even two that are healthy, know how to fight, have no disadvantages, versus a woman that can fight but she doesn't have anything special that can make her better, here we have a problem. You just wanted some special points because you wanted a black woman to win versus two guys in a normal fight. You didn't care about the story anymore, you didn't care about who Nathan Drake is or his brother, even if Nathan is the main character in the game. You just wanted a black woman to beat two white dudes because in your mind you think that somehow this helps issues about equality and race. A game is made to tell a story, to be entertaining and fun. Your focus was not to make a good game, your focus was to force some social issues that have nothing to do with your story in the game. If your overpaid feminist was so good at her job, then she should tell you how about making Nadine use a trap to get a big advantage over Nathan Drake and his brother. That way Nadine can have a big advantage and not just fight all white men at the same time because a feminist says so. I don't understand why you think it's a good idea to pay somebody just because her advice was what if the man was a woman. You almost want to make her CEO just because she said stuff like that. For real now, I'm trying to make a grown-ass man who is the CEO of a big company understand basic stuff that he can learn by reading some books, preferably about leadership and not romantic novels or feminist propaganda. I don't really find this entertaining or funny. This is why people play games, because they don't want to deal with stuff like this. I thought that a CEO of a big company is smart and should understand some basic stuff about humans, or at least games. The thing that should be his focus, not social issues from real life. I think more people should speak up about this, and especially with their money. I didn't care about these issues because I thought the game developers will know why it isn't a good idea to get their advice from a feminist that doesn't care about games or the gaming industry. I never saw feminists talk about underpaid people in the gaming industry, loot boxes created to manipulate people into overpaying for stuff that should be free, unfinished games with too many game-breaking bugs, trailers and demos that look great but the game is something else, promises with milestones that are never respected, people that are fired and overworked, and so on. The reality is that a woke person or feminist doesn't care about real issues. They just create issues because most of them are spoiled little brats that never had a hard life, but they still like drama. So why try to help when you can just cry and rage on the internet for money and attention? Cyberpunk 2077 will sell much more than The Last of Us Part 2, and not because of the exclusivity that The Last of Us has, but because CD Projekt Red still cares about making games and Naughty Dog cares about social issues. They think social issues are fixed if they are forced into a game. You care about social issues, do it in real life, but go to the poor countries, not staying all day on the internet to blame, rage and cry for attention. If your biggest problem in life is that you feel offended, good, That means you have no problem if all you have to do is ignore it. You feel guilty about things like slavery? Why? Did you do it? If not, why the fuck would you be guilty of something other people did? What if a family member did something wrong but he escaped? You will go to jail instead of him just because you think it's wrong what he did? No, because you didn't do any harm. Another problem that I have is that most of these issues are American issues, and you don't have only American customers. So we don't want your issues forced in the same game and movies we like. So I like Cyberpunk 2077 because the game is made to have all kinds of diversity and they didn't force anything. And I hate what Naughty Dog does because they made it about race or gender even if the game is not made to be about that. Uncharted is about the adventures of Nathan Drake, who travels across the world for treasure hunting and uncovering various historical mysteries. So nothing about racism, feminism, but Druckmann and his feminists insist on making it about that. The Last of Us is about a post-apocalyptic world where you try to fight the infected. You play as Joel and Ellie. Even if the story is much more complicated, it's still not about gender issues or racism. Oh yeah, Cyberpunk 2077 has all kinds of gender customizations, but they don't try to make the game about gender issues or racism. You have a company to make money and give the consumers the products they want and love. I don't pay you to teach me about homophobia, racism or sexism. So yeah, I hate it when a big company tries to tell me that they care about other social issues or gender. A company wants to make the investors happy by making money. They make money by selling something to customers. So when a company tells me they care about gay people or black people, I don't believe them. They just try to make you feel like they are human, but making money is why they exist. Let's say a company that you love made a game that you like, but the sequel is made by other people. Do the company matters or the product? Okay, let's say that all the people that made a game that you love are working for another company and makes another game that you like. You think a company is important or the humans working there? The company does not matter. You care about the product, and the product is made by humans working for that company. So this is my problem with fanboys. Fanboys will buy any crap as long as the name of the product or company name is the same, even if the product or company is not the same. Example. This is why people hate fanboys who think that the new Star Wars is still Star Wars. How? The writer and the people who created the Star Wars you all love does not work on the new Star Wars movies. They probably even hate what happened to the hard work they did that made Star Wars big. But fanboys don't care as long as it says Star Wars. This is The Last of Us Part 2. It may say Naughty Dog on it, but their products stop being made by the same people, even if some of them may still work there. Uncharted is still Uncharted if the creator Amy Hennig was fired. She made a story that you like in Uncharted, and changes already are showing in Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4 sold so much because many consoles came with the game as a gift. I saw Uncharted 4 all over the place, so of course people played it. It was with some consoles and it is a AAA game, so why not? People can still like a game if it looks good or has a good gameplay. So yeah, it's not because Druckmann wrote a good story. It's because the game was all over the place and the name was already known and loved because of Amy Hennig. So that's why The Last of Us Part 2 will sell a lot of copies. It's still Druckmann that writes the story with the help of Hallie Gross this time, but because he decided to get help from his overpaid feminist friend and his ideas didn't focus on making good games, The Last of Us Part 2 may be a big disappointment. The gameplay and graphics may still be good because talented and hardworking designers and programmers still work for Naughty Dog. I mean, look at Uncharted 4, how good it looks. Too bad somebody like Druckmann and his overpaid feminist decided what the story is. When I saw how awesome was the first season of Westworld, I thought, wow, I'm glad that a writer from Westworld will help for The Last of Us Part 2 story. Then I saw season 2 of Westworld and it was boring as fuck, so my joy was gone. I will not buy and play the game because Druckmann wants me to. I want to see the finished product. Druckmann is telling me that I need to play and finish the game for myself to feel the experience. It's bullshit. Someone who has a great game doesn't need to say that because people will buy it no matter what. I don't need to buy a game to see if it's a masterpiece or a piece of crap. Yes, the gameplay and graphics may be good, but I will not buy the game for that because that will not show Naughty Dog that we don't want feminist games. We want good games that are fun, with a complex and good story, especially if it's made by a company like Naughty Dog who was famous for that. I think the best thing that Naughty Dog can do is just wait for the game to be released and stop forcing people to like a game just because it's made by them. You made a good product, people will buy it and recommend it to others. You made a bad product, just take responsibility and stop trying so hard to make people hate you.